Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for Intellect for inviting me up on stage today. And I was going to do my introduction, but obviously that's a fantastic introduction. So thank you very much. So I'm going to tell you a little bit around IBM and our journey with one of our leading customers in the Asia-Pacific region. And all that is around technology. So I appreciate you're fairly focused on business here, but business is driven and drives the technology choices that we make. So customer interaction, the user interaction, the services we want to provide around contextual banking, around corporate banking, about transactional banking, all those are driven around the technologies that are available. So IBM, and I'm one of the solution architects that helps bridge that gap between what's the technology, okay? We understand the APIs, the RESTful interfaces, the JSON, the Node.js, all these core little components that make up technology. But how do you put that into the context for the customers and for it to be an effective and useful introduction or integration point for their services? So I focus very heavily on that. So IBM's been working with Intellect for over 13 years. We have a very strong partnership. Obviously, IBM is a very big organization. We cover many areas. We have a strong services relationship. We help you on the implementation projects. We help you on the infrastructural projects. And now IBM is going through a journey of its own, focusing very much on the cloud and cognitive world. So we are very involved in identifying what is the best combination of technologies to give you the right service. And we talk about hybrid clouds, we talk about multi-clouds, we talk about the general services from a proprietary software, middleware, as well as open source software. So when we start these journeys, we look at the technologies and we work out what is the best fit for these products. So one of the first points around the IBM journey I work with is looking at the platform capabilities, looking at the Intellect Design services. And we found for this opportunity we'll talk about, that using an enterprise Linux platform to host a technology gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of capability to drive that application, its database, the transactional and the monitoring management of that service, and also use APIs and analytics and AI services to grow that. So it's a great foundational. So the first point is that the combination of IBM and the Enterprise Linux platform we'll talk about and Intellect Design's products is they're a great fit. But they wouldn't be a great fit unless they worked well. They were efficient. They processed transactions well. They could deal with small scale but highly valuable transactions like trade finance. And they deal with larger scale, higher volume transactions, payments, overnight batch services, direct debits and standing orders. So performance is also key. And so we've done a lot of analysis and we're continuing to do some analysis for this particular customer on performance as well. So we believe this platform and the Intellect Design is the right performance. IBM, does that stand for a lot of money? Okay, what's the price point for entering and providing an enterprise platform for your core services? Well, sometimes you don't want to put a price on mission critical business, but you want to make sure that actually it's affordable, it's maintainable. So we believe we've got the right cost of ownership for this solution, working with Intellect and this platform to give you a great benefit. And then, finally, if you consider a new platform, a new service from Intellect, and looking at banking reinvention, digital reinvention service levels, then you need to make sure that the offering you come up with is a 3, 5, or 10-year plan with, good, easy to maintain capabilities. All these technologies we introduce, every customer and conference I go to, we introduce new buzzwords. There were, I think in one of the slides earlier on, there were 10 foundational cloud products. Okay, next week there'll be 11. The following week there'll be another 10. So trying to find the right combination of products to maintain your foundation is important. So this open, connected world is where we like to focus. Okay, so we talk about the business banking context, okay? We all recognize from all the industry reviews, from Gartner, from IDC, that banking is changing, okay? The digital reinvention is the latest buzzword from Gartner that's talking about we've been on a journey. Most banks are looking at the consumer requirements. They're looking at the business, the corporate requirements, and they're now looking obviously outside at the FinTech challenges, the e-payment providers, the do-it-yourself banking in a box model. All of those are big challenges to face. So trying to bring those together, reinventing your front office, your customer experience, making sure that you've got a good, efficient back office to support that, to deal with the ecosystems, to deal with the new agile solutions and actually providing new portfolio products instantly on demand to the market, and all that being run on a secure operational foundation. These are the tenets for a very successful banking operation. I'm sure you appreciate that. So digital transformation, digital journey. Oops, this thing keeps falling off. We've been on a journey with Techcom Bank for the last 3 years. Okay, it's one of the leading banks in Vietnam. They had, and I'll talk about their challenges, but they had a lot of things to think about. They wanted to become the leading bank in that area. They wanted to grow their market. They wanted to look at their retail operations, a lot of unbanked potential customers, a lot of new business growth in the region. They wanted to drive many changes. What's the evidence of this? Okay, well, you can see that actually as they offer services, their mobile services were going through the roof. They needed to change, okay? And it couldn't just be a simple acquisition of a new vendor service or the integration of a new API. They needed to change a lot of things to support the growth, okay? So they knew that this was coming. They had the foresight to think in 2015, we need to make a new journey, okay? We need the digital transformation journey. We need to invest in all areas of our business to become a more successful bank. So the CIO and CTO got together and they said, okay, right, we have these challenges, okay? We're running old technologies, both in the application services, the middleware, the software we've chosen, and the infrastructural practice. We have an old data center. Okay, we've got a lot of problems on our hand. How do we re-deliver this, more effectively? Okay, let's look at the challenges. And obviously, the 40% growth was their estimate 3 years ago. It's become nearly 100% growth year on year of the mobile channel, digital channels. So they have to accelerate that journey. So they chose in 2016 this IBM Enterprise Linux platform. We call it Linux One. They chose the machine to consolidate and bring together their banking services, both retail and corporate and business, and security channels and marketing services and a bunch of other capabilities. And they wanted to bring it together onto one common platform and actually re-educate the teams, the infrastructural teams, to support that from an operational perspective and reduce the risk, reduce the challenges that they were currently experiencing across multiple centers. So they bought a primary machine and a secondary machine. And, they started that journey, okay? So they started moving some workloads to that platform to grow, their business value. And the key thing was they brought multiple businesses together. So they brought project teams and business teams to an alignment program that said, how do we make this more efficient as a service? Now, this goes back to Phil introduced a story, and maybe we've crossed paths, but we both worked on the same bank in the UK, Lloyds Banking Group, that had a journey of merging 12 different large companies into an organization structure that's trying to combine all those services. And they had thousands of vendor products and solutions they had to merge and match. So they did it in a very large structured program. Techcom Bank didn't have that size or scalability, but they had the same problems. How do I provide a branch with a similar capability of service to deliver retail, to deliver corporate, to do some marketing? How do I stop doing all these siloed platforms and services and try to bring it all together under one umbrella? Okay, so they did the studies, they did the analysis, they did their due diligence, as Aaron referred to, and chose this platform, and then chose to work with a select number of key vendors. And if they didn't have that vendor today, they actually were going to replace them and provide brand new services. So they did some projections and they looked at trying to achieve 44% savings, 30% more efficiency, etc. So they did a lot of due diligence on the corporate platform. And last year they chose Intellect, the iGTB, the transactional banking product, as their new and Vietnam's first, cash and transactional banking service. So that was, a huge change for this business that was previously doing it on spreadsheets and passing paper between branches and head office. So it was a transformational change, being a transformation banking. So that was a great thing, and they'd already been on the start of the journey with IBM, thinking about the platform, and that combination of a strong foundational choice with now a new transactional banking choice was a great partnership. Okay, so we're now working through the project. Okay, so this is, normally I perhaps talk about this project at the end of the delivery. We're halfway through that project, but we've already seen great strides, great improvements, great success, if we say that, in looking at, the company first of all took this, basically we're doing this in 3 phases. We look at all the data in the organization. Okay, all the structured and unstructured we've talked about before in AI. We wanted to farm that, bring all that together in a common location. So we built some Oracle farms, Oracle repositories, rack-enabled, highly available services. We created the platform for the data. Okay, and we're migrating Oracle databases from elsewhere around the organization onto a common footprint. Then, okay, the application still sits where it resides and it performs, the old transactions perform as they used to. In fact, they may well have received benefits from actually seeing reduction and consolidation on a new network platform. But then they needed to be interfaced. They needed to be API enabled. So we created a messaging and transactional infrastructure that could be more modern web browsers, as simple as just a new HTML function, a new FTP service, or it could be a more detailed messaging, business process, workflow style of integration. So the API-connected services that becomes your transactional management service, okay? And then finally, we now say, okay, your data is in one place. All the messaging and networking you need to access that and process that between the individual services and multiple other services, the ecosystem, the final step is importing the applications, bringing those on board. And that final piece of the jigsaw is actually where all the savings suddenly happen. So not only do you bring the application and the data and the messaging services to one place, one foundational platform, you save on all of the integration costs or the runtime costs, all the virtualization costs. So performance is extremely, what's the word? Oops. I was trying to think, I was just trying to say, it's extreme, okay? The performance is extremely efficient. And, you're not using, security layers, firewalls, switches to transfer transactions around different platforms or different data centers. You're all doing it in one place. So this foundation is great. So Techcom Bank are on a journey. They're bringing together their retail banking, their new corporate banking, the transactional banking platform. They're bringing together other services together in one place. So now their whole operational overhead is all reduced into one concentrated effort. So they no longer have different IT organizations running each siloed business line. They have one IT organization delivering infrastructural support, operational monitoring and support. And they know that if there's a problem, they've got one person to call rather than a dozen to call. Okay. So just a little bit more about this platform, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the Techcom story. So the IBM Linux One Platform, has been around for 50 odd years, okay, as a enterprise server. We run standard enterprise Linux distribution. So we run Red Hat, we run SUSE, we run Ubuntu, we run Debian, Fedora. Okay. The key thing is we run this service just as a standard application. So logically, applications and databases don't have to change, okay? Intellect Design is certified to run on our platform, along with Oracle databases, WebLogic, other software and middleware. So just bringing that on board will not cost you any effort or change in your business line. But what the infrastructure is doing is providing you with a very secure, firmware-based, accelerated platform. And when I say secure, we can run Intellect Design without any changes to the application people. We can run Intellect Design without any changes to the Oracle database to introduce a whole encrypted, secure level around all of their transactions. So if your regulators, and many of them in Asia Pacific are now looking at all of this, they want to run cloud services, they want to run multiple service lines, but security is a real issue. There's exposures, there's potential hacking at various points around the systems. So actually, if you could run a foundational platform that was already secure and there was no cost or overhead to having to secure the database or application activities, you authenticate the user transaction and then it's running on encrypted data, encrypted caches, encrypted loggers. That's really important, okay? The second thing about data serving, as we said, multiple applications, multiple databases on one platform, all closely coupled, okay? All internal channels, so all the IP addresses are all logically represented, and actually all the data and all the information is contained in one system. Then data serving is very, very fast, very rapid. It's very, the integrity of that data is very key. So when you add APIs into AI tools or machine learning or deep learning, and you're trying to recognize the customer that walks through the door through some RFID chip on their credit card, which is one of the use cases, we know that customer's name, we know his current profile history, and in fact, we may even know what he's coming in to ask you before he walks up to the counter. So all of these integrated data serving services are very critical by using a good foundation for that capability. Okay, and then we talked about, is this just IBM trying to sell you software or trying to sell you a platform? No, it's about open and connected world. We are running enterprise Linux. IBM has made an announcement we're planning to purchase Red Hat as an enterprise Linux vendor. They have many tools, not just the Linux platform, but obviously many of the OpenShift, the cloud orchestration services and tools as well. That becomes part of our ecosystem. That becomes part of our open world. So we closely work with Kubernetes and cloud, and we are currently supporting Intellect Design application natively. But the conversation is open to say, let's look at your cloud opportunities and actually have Intellect Design on the cloud, sitting on this platform, sitting alongside a similar containerized version running on public cloud as well, and combine the two, make a hybrid cloud offering that's highly secure. So this platform offers lots of choice and lots of benefits in that regard. But this digital journey, okay, it's a challenge. Okay, Gartner recognizes, this was Gartner's report from last month. Banks especially are going on this digital transformation journey, but security is really key. Okay, think about not just the application investment. Think about the whole ecosystem of service. And if you talk about security, okay, specifically we offer integrated hardware. As I said, accelerates things. We can lock down the data services. We can lock down the file systems, the management system. Oracle itself is a collective database, okay? It uses something called ASM to dynamically control the file allocation and the data growth. And obviously, everyone's experiencing data growth. So if you can secure and lock down the Oracle control element, the ASM, you can then control and encrypt and secure everything that Oracle controls and manages. So data, networking, the actual platform itself, all that security is critical in this world of regulations, PSI-DSS or PSD2, open banking type services. Okay, so Linux One, just again, a quick introduction. So we call this whole encryption and security service pervasive encryption, okay? So without affecting your applications and database services, we can introduce firmware where the processors themselves, we have additional processors on the chipboards that provide security. So they're enhancing your whole service capability and your data support, okay? The nemesis that this system's never been hacked is true as long as you adopt the policies and practices of a good security administration. Then yes, you make it very, very difficult to achieve ethical hacking. So we have a strong platform, highly responsive, highly scalable, very available, okay, with cloning systems. So Techcom Bank, can focus on, they've made an investment into a platform, they've invested into Intellect Design, they're bringing all those on board, okay? They're looking at the moment they're going through a UAT process, and the next phase by third quarter this year will be to deploy the application. So they're happy that the database works effectively and efficiently. They're very happy that the messaging services and the open API network that they can now talk to other services and other applications works well. So they're now on to the final phase will be the application deployment. Okay, and finally that cost question comes back. Okay, and why do I invest in this platform? Am I reinventing something? Am I putting a lot of cash up front into a system that I may not necessarily need for some time to come? Well, just basically the amalgamation of the key application services, the amalgamation of the data itself. Techcom Bank paid for most of their transformational journey through the consolidation of Oracle database cores, okay, which meant that they were running a large Oracle estate across many systems, across many data centers, by bringing that back together and running it on a concentration of much more efficient core services. They saved most of the money they needed to pay for the rest of the transformation project and the investment in other application vendors. So, total cost of ownership is key and important, and looking at that whole business model. We're here to help, and we can provide some studies for you, some economic studies looking at the value of your applications and services. Where do you want to go on this digital journey? Can we help you? Can we help you consider where to go next? Okay. So, in fact, I've finished on time, or even with time to spare. So anyway, thank you for the journey. I'm happy I'll be here.